Hello, Be Awesome at Facility Management Podcast listeners, viewers, followers. It is another episode. We're here for episode 35. Really excited. This is a funny one because our guest today, we were supposed to do this in person in Canada last week. And instead, we're in person in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Paul, you are at the cabin because I can tell by the decor.
Yeah, lucky guess, huh? That's not fake. It's all real. It's not a fake background.
You're not a green screen kind of guy.
No, not me.
Before we get started, Paul, I got to show you something really cool.
Okay.
This is a trip I think you should have come on. We need to work on our trip schedule. But I got down here yesterday. I actually left my house on Tuesday. I went to San Antonio for a day, and then I flew to Albuquerque, and I met with the awesome folks at Albuquerque Public Schools that I worked with in July. And, I'm giving away stickers and I'm doing all sorts of stuff the typical stuff that I do. And I just got done speaking and doing a session, and John Dufay says, "Hey, you got to come with me for a minute." And so I thought I was just going out to the parking lot to say goodbye. Maybe he had a bag of potato chips or something for me to bring with me, because God knows I love to travel with potato chips. But got me in his truck and he took me for a ride. He brought me over to the metal fabrication shop and introduced me to Gary, who runs the shop over there. And Gary thought my stickers were so cool that he burned the midnight oil. And check this out. He fabricated a Be Awesome plate.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
It is something else.
It's round and they used acid on it and burned it and did all this stuff. And he wanted me to have it. And I never met him. He just thought the sticker was really cool and wanted to do something nice. So I thought that was just that's just a great example of what we're doing and why we're doing it, right? So
Absolutely.
Yeah, making that
and we're getting a lot of mileage out of those stickers, aren't we? I got extra ham and turkey in New Brunswick.
Yeah, we did get ham and turkey in New Brunswick. We might get to that story before this is all over. So, but without further ado, I want to welcome a very special human in my life. He's actually going to go right from this podcast to the standard Be Awesome podcast to get the personal touch. So if you want to, you're going to hear the business side of Moncton, New Brunswick's business official, running for vice president of ASBO International. And then we're going to do the personal side on the next podcast. But I've known Aubrey Kirkpatrick. I've known him since 2005. I have the pictures to prove it. I've watched him grow up, and it's been just an awesome thing. And we're gonna talk about being a business official in Canada and working with the facility department. So, Aubrey, first and foremost, welcome to the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here, guys. You two are awesome, and I got to say that I've been looking forward to this. We didn't get to do it in the Miramichi in New Brunswick because it snowed pretty hard, and you guys had to hit the road and drive in that snow on the way out. So I'm really happy we can do it here.
Well, I think it was also partly because Paul's head was pretty big. I mean, it was out there. I mean, you stood in front of 100 people, and the takeaways of my two talks was everybody needs a Paul, which I agree to. I just don't say it that often.
Yeah.
I like that. You get all the work, and everybody needs a Paul.
I mean, but the reality of that statement is, I couldn't have done any of that last week if Paul wasn't my co-pilot for 1,328 round trip miles, 20 hours in the car and 16 hours outside of the car. So you were spot on with that. And I'm just glad that somehow we managed to be 4,000, 5,000 miles away from Miramichi, and here we are in person doing an in-person podcast a week later. So I guess let's open up with, tell us about the district. I know the district pretty well, but tell us about the district as far as your schools, and then also a little bit about the community as far as what what goes on in Moncton.
Sure. So first of all, I just want to say that sign is fantastic. And the conversation that you had just a second ago about the importance of relationships, because that's what we are about, right? In the school business, we are about relationships. We're about serving children, serving kids, and serving our staff. And these relationships that you develop are what keeps us going, right? It's that positive input and positive feedback. So great job.
Thank you.
Moncton, New Brunswick. New Brunswick, if you don't know, is right next to Maine. So we share the border with Maine. And we are a province of about 850,000. total. So we got lots of land. Come on up. We got lots of land and very few people. As you experience. So our school district, called Anglophone East School District, we are in southeast New Brunswick. We serve 18,348 kids, and we have a staff of approximately 2,500 permanent staff and another 600 or 700 or 800 casual supply folks that help us out in delivering services to children. We are absolutely student focused, and that includes my team. And you know, I as director of finance look after and I look at my job like that. I look after my team. That's my role, because those people are the experts. So I have a facilities team, the manager and 3 assistant managers and 3 clerks that help run the business. I have a transportation team, and I have a budget and accounting team, as well as some food services. And, you know, it's a busy job, but I love it because what we do sets the stage and the tone for what happens in the schools. So if we don't do our job right, teachers have a difficult time, you know, helping students be the best that they can be. So Moncton, our claim to fame, what would that be, Josh?
Magnetic Hill.
Magnetic Hill.
Magnetic Hill Vineyard.
The nice winery there, right? We have
that makes wine without grapes.
That's right. Yeah. The tidal bore.
Yes.
Comes in and out. It's and people surf on it now,
I was
which
just
is
going to
cool.
say that. So for those that don't know, Bay of Fundy, first of all, has the largest tidal shifts, which you guys are part of the Bay of Fundy. You also the lowest temperature change variance. It only varies in temperature by a couple of degrees in a year, I think, is one of the stats that somebody told me, because I was going to go swimming once. But the tidal bore is
the Fundy, Bay of Fundy. It's cold.
And the tidal bore, I just found out about the last time I was up there. I didn't know about it. Tell a little bit about that.
So it's really cool because it's kind of shaped like a funnel. So the bay is here, and it comes in, and the river comes down into the city. And every time there's a tide change, so the river actually runs out. But when the tide comes in, the river changes direction because of the force of the tide, and it creates a wave. And so the wave moves up the river and goes right through the middle of town. And over the last couple of years, people have got to surf it. And as the wave has been more and more strong, people have been on their surfboards, and they can come right up. And because it's a continuous wave, there's one big giant wave pushing.
Have you done this?
I haven't, but I've thought about it.
My problem is I would probably miss the one wave. I'd be sitting there waiting, and they would go by me, and I'd miss it, and that's it. I got to wait another 12 hours.
There's no other wave, Paul. It's just the one time.
you got one shot per tide to do it.
You know, and the from the basin, or from the low point to the high point, it's about 15 or 20 feet, the rise, right? So it's a significant, no, the wave isn't that, but over time, as the tide comes in, it rolls up. So we have 39 schools, which we look after. And again, southeast New Brunswick.
How big territory wise?
So we are roughly about, from end to end, about 120 kilometers. So, you know, it's we're not largest territorial, but the other districts, there's several, so there's 7 districts in the province. I should say that there used to be 52 back in the day. And so in our province, we've been amalgamating and so my buddy's district in the west, he's at around 24,000. So that's the largest district, and we're 18.5. So and then there's several that are below the 18 mark. So which are, you know, quite significant in size. It certainly presents us, keeps us busy, keeps us hopping, right?
Well, good.
So I know it's not Moncton, but one of the other things that's up there is this really big axe.
Oh, the big axe. Yes, the big axe.
I mean, but if you can see that picture, that dark spot in the middle of the axe is Josh.
And they
The
are
rest
saying
of the picture is the axe.
just to be clear.
It's the world's biggest axe, and I had no idea. So I went up and I saw Sean, your friend Sean in Fredericton, and I talked to his team in 2019, And it's funny because you drive along the road in Canada, you guys put everything out there. The longest covered bridge, I think,
That's
is
right.
down there too.
Yep.
Highest
And tides.
the highest
right?
tides, reversible falls, magnetic hill.
Largest lobster in Shediac.
Largest lobster.
Yeah, you
Lobster.
gotta see that.
Yeah. There's all these cool things. And when I went up in 2019, it was a rush thing. Took my kids and Amy, and we got in the car. We were on vacation, and we just drove up. And I was like, man, I gotta stop and see the world's largest axe. I have no idea why someone would put that there. And then you go there, and there's plaque, and it was built in honor of an awareness, and to bring awareness of the importance of proper forestry,
Right.
which is a big part of your economy. And I thought that was really cool. But yeah, Paul and I pulled up. We went behind the hockey rink. We had to walk down the snow and the frozen stuff. Paul's looking at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "We got to go down there and we got to get a picture in front of the axe."
Well, I texted you.
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
I texted you, said, "How you making out? Where are you at?" He said, "I'm at the axe."
Yeah. So next time, Paul, we got to go to the covered bridge. So
Absolutely.
yeah. But Paul, I think I cut you off before you were gonna say something. I'll let you go to your questions and comments. But I think something that's really cool that I don't hear often enough is the number of students. You gave your exact student count, and I think that's important because we're here in Albuquerque, and I know that Dr. Blakey and John Dufay and their team and everyone, they have the same mindset that you have, which is every student, every day, all kids. And I think that's important. I think that's important for people to hear that you said 18,348. It wasn't, we have around 18,000 kids, or we have around 18,348 kids.
Yeah.
You know how many kids are walking in and out of your halls. I think that's pretty cool coming from, the business office. Like that's your thing. So Paul, I just wanted to point that out, but go ahead, because I know I saw you moving.
My big question, my big takeaway coming up there was something that we don't seem to have here, at least in Massachusetts, is your business officials combine with your facilities officials into one organization or one conference that we were there for. And how does that happen? How does everybody commingle like that and not say you're holding the purse strings and you don't need that hot water heater? There's no tussle. It doesn't seem like there's any tussle there over money and what needs to be done.
No, that's a good question. I think one of the key components to that is that we see each other as a team, that our sole purpose and our why, if you want, is to serve kids. And so when you can when everybody's on that team and saying the same language and feeling the same thing, then we often have our facilities people helping the transportation department if they've got a big project or something's happening, and vice versa, right? And so, and of course the finance department, and we're all working together. And I think that it is unique in New Brunswick because we're a small group, right? I mean, the most we could have for ASBO members would be about, I think, 130 or something like that. And we sign everybody up. So kind of like ASBO International and the district membership, every employee that is in the business side, the support side, that supervises others. So that would include our assistant managers and our managers and directors of human resources, facilities, transportation, budget and accounting, and IT are all members. And so even if we include all those, it's still only 130. We had almost 80 some registered for last week.
You had 80 registered, right? 88 show up, I think.
In a storm, right? And so the important thing is that everybody's singing from the same songbook, right? We do believe in the all kids matter, and our service makes a difference. And so when we have that, we accomplish a lot more together than being in silos and that sort of thing. So
that was one of your key takeaways, Paul, was when we were leaving, you were like, nobody left. And
they were all there. The people that were there in the morning for breakfast were there as we adjourned.
And
same number of people.
He put
wasn't an empty seat there.
He put the whole thing kind of together with the itinerary and stuff, and he emailed me a couple days before. And he says, "Hey, looks like we're going to have snow." And I came back and I was like, looking forward to it. And but after I said that, because I've been to events where there was snow possible, not even that it was happening, the attendance dropped significantly. And, you know, I'll talk to one person, but to have pay me to come up and talk to one person, you know, I was worried. I was sitting here going, I thought for a brief second, he says, are they going to reschedule or something? Is he preparing me for something? I said, no, this is Canada. They'll all be there. And for those that it snowed, we got up there, we drove Thursday. Paul and I drove 620 miles on Thursday. We got up, did our thing, met with you guys the night before. On Thursday night, we went to bed and we woke up and it snowed all night, and then it snowed all day.
Yeah.
And it snowed all day on the drive home. And Paul was like, nobody left. Everybody stayed, and they were engaged and they were excited, and it was.
And we went to the grocery store and they still had bread and milk.
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Back home, the 3 days before the storm,
Yeah.
they run out of bread and milk because everybody panics. It's like, when have we ever had a storm that we couldn't get back to the bread and milk? I don't understand. I don't understand that.
We have this thing called storm chips. So when there is a storm forecast, people say, well, how many bags do I need? Depending on the size of the storms. Is this a two storm chip bag storm, or right? So seriously, storm chips are a thing.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a company, a small boutique company that does potato chips, Covered Bridge it's called.
Yeah.
And they have a bag that's called storm chips, and it's 3 varieties in one big bag.
Do they have all dressed?
Yeah, it absolutely. Yeah.
Oh,
So you guys,
Paul, we got to
All
make a
dressed.
run.
Gotta have all dressed.
Make a
Yeah.
run.
when you go to the longest covered bridge,
Yeah.
Covered Bridge potato chips is right next door, so you'll be
Okay.
able to hit 2 things.
I'm
in
gonna have to
one.
check that out.
And then even being in the grocery store the day before the snow started, the woman that worked there, she said, "Oh, you here shopping for the storm?" We said, "No, we're here for potato chips." And Josh said, "So, like, what are we gonna get? What's happening? What's coming?" She says, "Oh, I don't know. We just look out the window." It was like, there's no panic here.
Frozen pellets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, there's no panic at all. And it's amazing how that happens in different universes, because when we were recently down in Key West and there was a hurricane coming, a real full boat hurricane coming, the people were coming to work, they were filling our buffets for breakfast, they were serving us lunch, the music was playing. There was something about it that made me feel like I was on the Titanic. But it didn't, there wasn't this panic and everybody running home and getting in the car and driving down the bridge and getting out of town.
Yeah, I think it's the resilience factor of you're in it and you do it, and you just kind of go, whatever, I just roll with whatever it is. Before I get to staffing, I have a very important question. Can you still get milk in a bag in Canada?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So
Milk in a bag.
Milk in a bag.
Milk in a bag.
So I grew up spending my summers in Cape Breton with my grandparents, and milk came in a bag you would buy. And it actually is, I mean, depending on how you look at like recyclables and all of the different things, but the milk gets put in a plastic clear bag, and you get it, and you have a plastic pitcher that you put the bag in, and you just cut the top of it and you pour the bag of milk out, and it's fresh, good milk, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We got wine in a box.
Yeah, well, I think they have that too.
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about
A
that.
little fun fact. I mean, I keep saying we're going to get back to this and we start talking about New Brunswick stuff, but New Brunswick's got an interesting factoid. You can't make wine in New Brunswick and with grapes that are made anywhere else. So if you grow grapes in California, because this happens a lot with vineyards, they'll get grapes from other places and they'll make the wine in that state or in that province. New Brunswick doesn't allow that, and you can't grow grapes in New Brunswick. It's not possible with the growing season.
Short season.
So they figured out there's my numbers might be wrong, and if you know, correct me, but I think there's 37 vineyards in New Brunswick, and all of them make wine out of rhubarb and pears, and it's all grown fruits and vegetables that they ferment and make wine from, and it's some of the best wine, dessert wine I've had anywhere. So I've brought dessert wine back when I'm not bringing back potato chips. So, but so one of the things to get back on track is I listened to your podcast with Asbo. They had a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that was interesting that I'm not surprised by, but I've never asked, which is your staff retention. You retain your staff amazingly. You know,
Yeah.
Do you have a secret? And then the second part to that question is, people do have to go sometime, retire, what have you. How easy or difficult is it to replace staff? And is there a secret to that? Because you have a pretty dynamic team. Like everybody I've met on your team is they're sipping the Kool-Aid. They're like, it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's struggling with it, and you may have some struggles with it, but it doesn't seem like it. And I've seen the same faces there since 2005. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really lucky because when I was in human resources before I moved over to the director of finance role. And so when I got there, I knew the folks from an HR perspective, right? The people, the directors or the managers and assistant managers. And so our first meeting, I said, look, you guys are the experts. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. And I'm, what I'm going to do for you though, is support your work. I will cut the weeds, make sure that you've got the resources that you need, and just be there for support and lead as we need. But the actual day-to-day, the knowledge keepers and the people that are the ones that can make things happen are my team. And so they've all been with me for more than 20 years. We have some new ones. We've added some positions in, and we have some newbies within the last 5 years. But all the folks that started with that were around that table are still there. Now, we did have Guy, who retired. He was my budget accounting manager and my foil in a lot of ways, right? He pushed my buttons and was able to give me alternate ways to look at things, and everybody needs that. I don't know, Paul, do you do that to Josh? Give him alternate views of reality?
Absolutely. I mean, those of us that know us personally know that Josh, how do I put this politely, flies by the seat of his pants. and I have Excel spreadsheets with columns and rows.
Right. Yeah.
So so the two of us are, it's a great yin and yang, and we just have opposite ways of doing it, but we get it done. But
it comes together, right? And so the thing with Guy retiring, we were able to do, and what we had planned to do, it was a succession plan. So his assistant manager, my teammate assistant manager, Lise Richard, no relation to Guy Richard, moved into the manager's position. She earned that, right? And so the other thing that we did was the chief or the head clerk of the budget and accounting department, she was fantastic, and she moved into the assistant manager role. So we were always looking for that succession planning and building into our people so that when time comes, they're ready, right? So training and giving them more responsibilities and them asking for more responsibilities and giving them the leeway to come up with ideas to be successful, right? So not all the good ideas come from my office, in fact, probably.
And I think what I see is that here, there seems to be a lot of fear that if I train someone or I bring someone along, they're going to take my job. So there's a lot of that mindset that needs to change. And I've said it in one of my talks, when you get where you're going, turn around and look back behind you. And bring on the next person. Well, what we're finding now in the States, and I'm not sure if you have the same thing up there, is that a lot of us aged out at the same time, and retired, and we have no feeder program. We have no facilities directors,
right,
that are coming in and doing what we're doing. And I think it's because we didn't train them. We didn't go out and pull people in and give them the confidence they need to know that they can do the job that we do.
That's a really good point. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised by this, but we're all districts and mostly all business are in the same pickle. We don't have the pool to draw from anymore, right? Because people as old as Paul have retired, right? I'm not retired. Maybe in and around his age, but I've got so much left in the tank that I'm not looking to hang it up here, right? I mean, we've got some things to do.
Paul's not retired. He's not retired. He's retired, but he's not retired.
Retired.
Right.
No, it's
But I mean, that idea of really paying attention to your staff and giving them the opportunities to grow and to thrive, that's what keeps them around, right? And that's what keeps them connected. And again, understanding what the why is in our business, right? Because we're about kids and we're about serving children, and there's no other profession, maybe other than healthcare, that is as important as the work that we do, right? And I get excited about it. I get pumped about it, right? And sometimes people talk about educators just being the people with those BEDs, with the Bachelor of Ed, but
Yeah.
no. We are educators, because nothing happens unless the schools are open and ready, or that we've delivered those kids. And so we are a key part into, student success, and that's what it's all about.
Synergistic effort. And you hit something. I did work in healthcare after I was let go from a previous employer. I was fortunate to have someone take me under their wing and have me get out of the business for a little bit. And it was interesting because, and I apologize with my voice, I've hit a critical point where I need to rest the cords, and I get a couple podcasts left. But I went into the health tech space, and because I said, if there's another opportunity to feel like I'm making an impact, that's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And what I quickly found the difference was, and it's not better or worse, it's just different. With education, we have the opportunity to mold.
Mm-hmm.
We have the opportunity to grow. In the healthcare space, we're helping people that are broken. They're sick, they're ill, they broke their legs, they did something, and they need us, that critical piece of need. They're in a place of vulnerability. They could be having the worst day of their life, where in education, we get to help kids have the best day of their life.
Absolutely. And you bring up a great point. We get to be part of that prevention so that less people land in healthcare, right? And so talking about, food programs and healthy lifestyles and internet savvy and all of those risks that, kids this day and age face, that we can actually, in education, impact society in ways that not just getting them the education they need, but to live the lifestyle that they need, or choose the lifestyle that they need in order to be healthy, contributing members of society. Yeah.
We're not going to get into it, Paul, but Aubrey and I had dinner last night, and we're solving a lot of the problems of the world.
We did,
but we are going to do some pretty cool stuff, I think, in the future. My prediction is we're going to do some pretty cool stuff when it comes to making sure that kids are eating and getting the appropriate food that they need. And I think I might even plant an apple tree or two on his school grounds one of these days and see how that goes. So
I have no doubt, with the two of you, I have no doubt you'll be doing great things for students.
Yeah.
And we went back to, for the longest time, our staff as facilities, the maintenance and the custodial staff, they just thought they were sweeping floors. They just thought they were cleaning tables. They just thought they were emptying trash. They didn't look at it as they were as important in that child's upbringing and education as anyone else. We provide a warm, a cool, a dry, safe space for kids every day. And we can't do it without the custodians that are sweeping the floors, emptying the trash, cleaning the tables. And it took a long time to get that point across, that to let them know that what they're worth and what they're doing for the students of, and staff too. It's not just students, it's staff. Because without the staff, we can't teach the students, and without the clean, dry buildings, we can't have the students and staff learning.
Yeah. And so what we learned during the pandemic was, guess who's really important?
Right.
The custodians, right?
And we can't do our job from home.
Right. And guess
we can't work from home. That's what we found out. We can't work from home. And the story I tell is I was working in one community when COVID hit at its peak, and we were cleaning everything. Right back then, it was like, clean the world. We're going to spray, we're going to clean, we're going to wipe, we're going to disinfect every piece of this thing. So I sent my guys, after we did all the classrooms, all the desks, all the chairs, I sent them into the gym. And I said, I want you to clean everything in this gym. And you guys know what to do. And I left. I came back about 2 hours later. And these three guys had a barrel with water, a barrel with disinfectant, another barrel with water again, and then a cleaner, and then water, and then another disinfectant. And they were taking every basketball, every soccer ball, every ball in the gym, which was in the hundreds. It's a high school gym. And they were dunking them. They had an assembly line going. They were dunking them in each thing, and they were rolling them down the floor to the guy at the end who was drying them and putting them back on the rack.
Fantastic.
It's like that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
here I always thought that that was being done growing up and licking my hands before taking a foul shot and
Yeah.
thinking that it was a
Yeah.
disrespectful foul. Probably wasn't.
Not so
Yeah,
much,
Yeah,
no,
not so
no.
much.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to tell you is that we, how we operate our schools, we have our custodians, most of them were working the back shift. So after school gets out, we have 1 day custodian, and then our allotment is based on the collective agreement. So the actual square footage and the type of bathroom and the number of urinals and sinks and so forth dictate how many custodians that we can have and how many that we're funded for. And so that sometimes makes it a challenge, because it's a negotiated thing, and sometimes it's not exactly what's needed. But and we have a small team of
Is that measured at the ministry level?
No.
How is that?
well, it's shared. So
Yeah.
we do the measurement, we share with the ministry and so forth.
And where do you find the baselines of that? Are you going off of standards of Canadian standards, North American standards, APA standards? Or
Well,
just
to be honest, I'm not sure, because that is negotiated at the central level. So when we do contract negotiations, it's one contract for all of the districts in New Brunswick. So yeah, so it's not separate contracts. So there's one teacher's contract, there's one, so it's done centrally. There's some pluses and minuses to that, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it
I
gives
like the variable where it's not just saying your number of square feet you're looking at, because depending on when the school was built or the building was built, would tell you the number of bathroom stalls that you most likely have.
Yeah.
Because the average number of students in 1960 in a school building built is a lot different than the number of students in a school building in 2022. Which would require a different bank of bathrooms, a different number of sinks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number of
You guys keep talking. I have to tend to my wood stove. I'll be right back.
Oh, there you go. You are the wood stove tender. Well, Paul steps away. I want to shift gears.
Sure.
And I don't know where you find the time to do things. Because I was tallying up 168 hours in a week, and I was tallying up what I could gather you do in a week, and you're over that number by a lot. And you've made a commitment a number of years ago to be a director on ASBO International. I think it's a 6-year. If you go through the whole ranks of director, vice president, president, past president, it's like 6 or 7 years, 6 years. With monthly meetings, you have to campaign, which causes you have to travel, which is partly why you're here. You have to market and do a whole bunch of things. And so you're running right now for vice president of ASBO International. First and foremost, this is a volunteer board for an international association that supports business managers around the world. And so my question is, what caused you to make that commitment? Because it's a big commitment.
Yeah. So I've been a member since 2000. Interesting fact, the office that I sit in, the individual who hired me, Linda White, she was the last Canadian president. So how cool is that, right? So I'm hoping that there's some kind of
there's like a
kismet or something going on,
go.
right?
Yeah.
This office.
Yeah.
So, but going back to when I was introduced through Linda to the association, first meeting was in Baltimore. I got to see the power of connection and networking and learning from, folks like Josh, and companies that are in our business and what's new and what's coming down and around the corner, and the power of that. And so our district was able to capitalize on a number of those things that we've gone through from those vendor shows and conferences. And so, associations work. And the cool thing about them is getting to know people, and then getting to know where you can go and get some assistance or help, but also that you're not the only one.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound crazy, but sometimes there's misery loves company, or company loves misery.
Yeah.
So that I'm going through this very difficult thing, and I know, Josh, you've just gone through it. So I can go to you and find out, the details and what you did and all those kinds of things. So for
it's
me,
good therapy, right? It's good therapy, if nothing else.
Well, in some cases, you think you have it bad, and you listen to somebody else's story, and you go, "Man, I thought I had it bad."
Well, exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, going back to why we do what we do, we support kids. And so associations like New Mexico ASBO and New Brunswick ASBO and Association of School Business Officials, our job is to make the school business official as best that they can be, right? And so when that happens, they're also now delivering the best service to kids, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And so, you know, I've always been one to volunteer and to step up because I prefer to lead.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the brightest bulb in the package, but I work hard and I like to make sure that I ask the right questions of the right people to gather as much information to make good decisions, right? And so ASBO's got a long history, over 100 years of service to school business officials, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity. This is actually my 6th year because I served 3 years as the international rep as a guest on the board.
Oh, okay.
So I did 3 of that. Now this is my 3rd year as a director, and so I'm trying out to see whether or not I'm vice president material, and we'll see how that goes in August.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying this stuff, and I'm sitting here. I went to my room last night after dinner, and I said, "Man, I talked a lot," and I was like, "Did I talk a lot, or was I being asked a lot?" And what it was, when I played it back, you asked a lot of questions, and I thought that was really cool because, you know, one of the first questions you asked me was, you know, can you tell me about your experience with ASBO International? Like, you genuinely wanted to know. And I'm not a big, you know, money person. I've been consistent throughout my career, but you wanted to know. And then I answered that, and I was like, there was another question. There was another question. It was like, you had this genuine inquisitiveness about my experience that I'm sure you're going to report back and talk to folks and say, hey, maybe we want to consider this, or Josh Peach is crazy, and, you know, whatever. We might probably want to increase his membership and try and scare him away. But that was really cool. And then it gave me the feeling like I didn't talk too much.
Well, you didn't, and I'm glad. I'm as a severe introvert, I'm glad that you were talking. But asking questions and you know, I did a little roundtable here with some and New Mexico ASBO members, and part of that roundtable was, how can your association, New Mexico Association, and or how can the larger group, the International Association, help you do your job? What are the things that you need out of a association to be better? And one of the things that they said was networking and the ability to reach out. And so ASBO International has a great global network thing. It's an internal, so only the members get to, and they can ask some tough questions and get information, get, you know, docs and tenders and RFPs. So there's this sharing. And that's one thing, I know you've seen this. There's no, this is mine.
Right.
I'm not sharing. In this school business world, everybody who's doing something cool wants to tell you about it, and they want to give it to you. They want to make sure that,
well, there's no competition, right?
No,
it's not Coke versus Pepsi. It's, we want to help one another. Rising tide floats all ships.
And why do we want to do that?
Make a difference in the kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah, we had, when I worked in Newton, we had hired this this consultant, and she wrote us a green cleaning plan. Part of our opening our new building back in 2010 was going to be the green building, and we got gold, LEED gold, and all that. But the custodians needed a plan. That we needed something that we had to file with the state to get that certification. And shortly after that, there were more and more schools in Massachusetts going green, and I took that that green cleaning plan and I offered it up on the MFAA website, on our website, to share. And at the beginning, this woman got very annoyed that we would put it out there to everyone, because she was of the private mindset,
right,
and thinking that she put this together. And I'm saying, we paid you to put this together, so now we own it. And we share it because we're in a public world. You know, there's no reason for someone else to go out and recreate, you know, as they say, to build the wheel again. So I've shared that so many times, and all of the stuff that we do, from job descriptions to specs for boilers and bid specs and RFQs and all of that stuff. It's what we do. It's the public world, and we share with all of our colleagues.
What you're doing right here, right? Your podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, this was a conversation I had with a vendor out earlier, which was like, I share a ton of content on LinkedIn, and a lot of my secrets, if you will, I share. And the question was like, why do you do that? Aren't you worried that your competitors are going to see what you're doing and everything else? I say, no, everything's date and time stamped. I can see what I did first and what they didn't do for, what they borrowed from me or whatever. So at least I got that going for me. But no, it's one of the things that I think is important that people often forget. I mean, there's a lot of people waiting for folks at the top, right? They're waiting for you to get there. They're not helping you get there. And the thing that we remember is the people that helped us get there. And I think that's that camaraderie, especially in the ASBO and the building facility professionals. It's like, we remember that stuff. Like Paul has been with me since 2004, and he was instrumental. Roger Young, who created the facility planning guide, Bob Berry, who was at Winnacunnet, and he was at a couple of different schools. There's so many people that I could name that were there in 04 and 05 and 06 that are here now, that they're just vital and important to me, that I'm just so grateful and appreciative for. And it's because they shared. And I think that's really cool. One or two other things before we wrap this up and then go right into another one. And Paul, if this might be a debut for you, if you want to stick on for the next episode for the personal one, we'll jump right from this one to that one, because you and Aubrey have made a pretty quick friendship here that I think is pretty cool. So feel free if you get the time, and if you don't, that's all right.
I'm game. I'm game.
So to finish up the business professional side, we got a lot of business officials that listen to the podcast, and we got a lot of folks that have business officials that they can talk about. What are people, they're gonna have to vote for you? Like, how does that all work? Because there's some new business managers that aren't familiar with ASBO. So how does someone start to get involved with ASBO? Because I'm sure there's some folks that aren't involved yet that are just getting the impression. How do they get involved with it? And then what are they going to need to do as far as when's the election, or what should they do to get more Aubrey information?
Oh, fantastic question. $10 to you after.
American.
So let's start with this. I encourage people to belong to ASBO International, and in addition to their state or provincial association, right? And so what's different about the International Association is that it's your local association on steroids. So you've multiplied the amount of people that you can network and get to know and have as support, but also have the access to wonderful resources that our association puts out. And so we did something a couple of years ago that I think is just super cool with the association. And so we created a district membership. And so what that allows is that for the less than the price of single memberships, your district can be a member of ASBO International, and everyone in your business office, your facilities team, your transportation, managers and assistants, and all of that, my team, they're all members now. Under
IT,
one,
HR,
right? Absolutely. And I did something really cool, Josh. I signed up our superintendent and the directors on the ed side as well. And so now they're getting, the daily memo from ASBO International. They're getting, the publications and information, and know that we are, we're needed, and we're a credible professional association. So I thought that was neat, and you're allowed to. It wasn't something sneaky I did. I asked first. The other thing I added was my key partners at the department level. So the people I work with in the funders and our transportation folks that look after the whole province, they're also on my district membership. So they also are attuned to what's happening now across the country and across the states as well, right? So it broadens their horizon, and they understand, New Brunswick's not the only one, or we're glad we've done this, right? So I think, encouraging people to check that district membership out. You go to ASBO International, and it's on the front page, and it's called district membership, and sign up. It's cheap. I think it's $4.99. And you get so much from it, like the services, and you get like some percentage off on some of the online training that we do, and webinars that are recorded and stuff like that, as well as the ability to come to the leadership conference, which is next week, and then our annual event that we have is going to be at the Gaylord in National Harbor. And that was always a good time there. So we will be doing that in September. So yeah, so there's that. This whole election process, it's, you know, it's interesting. I'm serving alongside Wanda, who's also running, and she's such a fantastic person, right? So, you know, it's odd, but it's good, right?
The hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, so it's going to be, you know, you're going to win with whoever you vote for. But at the end of the day, you know, we will be putting out information. I'm utilizing LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, whatever your preference is. I'm putting out
all
stuff
over social
that
media.
I believe in and that I, you know, hope that will be beneficial to people. I've been a social media guy for a long time, and you talked about it last week. And I do Facebook. I do a lot of Facebook posts, but I see my role on Facebook as being a positive force. So I do a lot of self-deprecating humor. I do a lot of you know, leadership quotes and funny memes and things like that, just to keep it light, and that, you know, because there's enough issues in our world today that, you know, anyway, so there's that. The election actually takes place at the end of August. It's an electronic version, and yeah, so if with a district membership you get one vote. If you have your own membership, you get a vote yourself. And yeah, it's yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that I get the opportunity. Yeah.
You actually gave me a review. You're on my website. It's not loading. I don't know if you know this, but the recommendation that you gave me a couple of years ago that's on social media, that referred to my self-deprecation humor and how I am. I actually had it put on my Be Awesome website. But no, that's really cool. And I'll tell you, one of the things I was going to say was I was able to serve on the board of ASBO International for a couple of years as their corporate member advisory committee. And so I sat through a couple of elections on the board because the seat was a couple of years. And so I watched the voting process. And when I left, when I finally, my term was up and they were actually whatever they were doing with the seat, you know, the last thing I said was, I don't envy any of you. And I said, not because of any reason other than you're all awesome people. And at the end of the day, it comes down to a vote. And one person leaves and one person stays. And that's a hard thing because you build that bond. It's like you want to win so bad, but at the same time, you don't want the other person to lose. And I've never seen something like that. It's really it's heartwarming. And it's been since I've been part of ASWO for 25 years. And it's really kind of a neat thing where that genuine care is like, you know, you see competitions where it's like, I'm gonna win. And it's like this, it's like you really care. And at the end of the day, the winner is sometimes most of the time, if not all the time, is kind of sad. Right. It's an elation and excitement, and at the same time a little bit of a sadness.
Well, you've just spent 3 years together. And I think, you know, you bring up a cool point because we're all volunteers, right? And we've all got day jobs, right? And we are there for the right reasons. And you know, so there's this commitment to our membership and to the association and to each other as board members. And so you know, when you get in there as year one, that in year three, that person you got in there with, because there's 2 members every year, that you're likely going to be competing against them, right? Or in an election. But you know, at the end of the day, all you can do is be happy because the people that get in there at year one are great people. And so by the time year 3 comes, they're going to be ready to serve either, you know, as VP, or, you know, we'll go find another committee to work on and continue to help. Well, it's awesome.
Well, listen, much luck.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue talking to you as I always have and always will. And always in you guys' corner, and love the time that I get to spend up in Canada with you and your team. So hopefully we can do that some more, and look forward to maybe seeing you in a couple months and talking more about the outcomes and what's next. And I'm going to be at National Harbor to be there. So and I might bring Paul. Paul, you want to go to National Harbor with me?
Sure. I don't know where it is, but I'm in.
Road trip.
How many miles?
What DC's not bad. It's less than 400. We'll be
Yeah.
good.
Oh, okay.
Big one.
That's an
Yeah,
easy one. We can do that
We,
anytime.
we need a big one. So
No snow.
yeah. So no, this is great. This is a great episode
Thank you, guys.
for the business. Our pleasure, and we'd love to have you on again. And I'm really, I know that this is like really cool. What I always love is I always know the people that I'm close to that are separate. When they get together, they build this like interesting bond, and it's just really cool when I bring Paul, and all of a sudden everybody just loves Paul. And sometimes when Paul brings me places, they're like, yeah, I tolerate Josh. But, it's just great to see the people that I have in my life that get to combine. It's like they're so in line with having all that stuff. So
that's awesome.
Paul, stay tuned. I'm going to shut this thing down. We're going to start the next episode. For those of you that are listening to this, we're going to have an episode on the Standard Be Awesome podcast where we're going to talk personal life, because all this awesomeness that Aubrey's just shared, his commitment, his dedication, difference that he makes in his community, he's gone through some pretty challenging life stuff. Life has thrown some curveballs at him, something terrible in the last couple of years. And we're going to dig into it, and we're going to talk about it on that podcast. So this is going to be the first time that there's a business side podcast and a personal side podcast of the same person. So for those that have listened, appreciate you all. Please follow, share, like, comment, subscribe to YouTube. That's how we get the word out. That's how we spread this word. If we've earned your 5-star rating and review on a podcast platform, please hit that 5-star rating. Give us a review. Send me an email, Josh@BeAwesome. It's JOSH @BeAwesome, BEAUSM. Tell me your shirt size and address, and we'll mail you a t-shirt free of charge, including shipping and handling. Even to Canada, where the shipping costs more than the shirt, we'll make that commitment to at least 5 people, because I don't want to go bankrupt shipping shirts with shipping and handling to Canada. But we do want to get those ratings and reviews in. And if you can be anything, be awesome. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.